Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be talking to Section Studios. Now, art can have a really dramatic impact on the quality of a game. And so we're going to be talking to one of the top studios here in Los Angeles called Section, and we'll take you and we'll give you an inside look into how they actually work. Hey everyone, we are on our way to Section Studios. These are guys I met about 7 to 8 years ago when I had my own game studio and we're working on a game. They did art for the game, which was fantastic. Really excited to get there to show you more of their studio, and we are headed there right now. Hey everybody, we just arrived at Section Studios. We're going to be talking about a few things today. The first is what does Section do in terms of being an art studio, the type of art you make for video games. Second, the origin story. How did Section actually become a company? How did they found the company? Who are the founders? And then we'll talk about the future, art, 2D versus 3D, and how do you actually break into the industry from an art perspective. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. Let's go. Hey guys, we are here with Jimmy and Cecil. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
So these two guys are two of the founders of Section Studios, and I thought maybe we could just start by having you guys introduce yourselves and like your role at Section.
I'm Jimmy. I'm the CEO.
Hi, I'm Cecil. I'm Chief Creative Officer, CCO.
All right guys, let's start with a tour of Section Studios.
All right, welcome. So this is our lobby. This is our main conference room. This is my office. There's a couple of things I'm proud of in my office. This is Justin, our Chief Operating Officer, who you'll meet later. It's his painting here. That's one of the paintings he did before, and a long time ago, Cecil did an amazing oil painting of the Sierra Madre.
Sierra Madre, yeah, Sierra Madre.
Something like that, but behind
your house.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have their pieces as the main pieces of my office because I'm just kind of proud of, being partners with amazing artists. So.
Yeah, the art's fantastic. Jimmy, maybe we could start with just having you describe like the business. So what does Section Studios do?
Mm-hmm.
What kinds of customers do you guys have?
So most of what we do, we started off as an art services company. Two of my co-founders, Cecil and Justin, are both industry concept artists, industry veterans. Cecil is the main concept artist who run the entire quality and creative for the studio, and he can go talk about his past before, but generally speaking, Section Studio started off as a studio providing art services for video game companies and some Hollywood or whatnot that would require pre-visualization or concept art. So we do a lot of visual development.
What are some of the clients or some of the specific art projects that you're most proud of?
Proud of? I'm proud of all of them. I don't know. I'm just proud to be. I'm not an artist, so I'm proud of everything we do that's creative. Maybe Cecil can answer a little bit what he's most proud of from an art standpoint.
Yeah, we work with many clients, but one of the long-time standing clients is Riot Games, and we work with them on their new champion campaigns multiple times, and those has been really fun. And every time each champion has different marketing approach, so we work with them on the brainstorming whether we're gonna do 2D or storyboard. And on top of that, we work with the Call of Duty franchise, and both ends on character design and also the environment concept. And that's also been something really proud of because a lot of people see our work got made in the product. And other stuff, we're having fun working with some of the marketing agent who does like the movie posters in HBO series, like a Game of Thrones marketing kind of VizDev stuff. Those are like really fun because they usually come to us to like a rescue mission kind of thing. So we jump on the project and work on that project for a couple weeks, and then sometimes it really turn into final marketing piece, or sometimes we inspire them to take different approach. So that's
I think of what we do more than a specific project. I think the fact that we are, there are artists who just paints well, but the work that we do is visually realizing somebody's imagination and what they want to see that they can't really produce themselves. So we're actually more designers than just I guess artists. So we don't just engineer things well, but what Cecil and Justin does really well is just take an idea and then actually realize it as an image. And I think that is the most proudest part of what we do here, that I personally feel.
And also something I also wanted to point out is we work with some of the indie developers that are founded by designers and engineers, and they're very talented people. But in order to realize their final product, they need some art team. So we kind of had our own marriage and went through a couple years of really strappy production, and those products actually been out, and some of them actually got award. So those are really proud, and we love working with other game studios that are, we call it co-dev, but it's like helping each other if the goal is aligned, and at the end of the day, they're good at what they do, we're good at what we do, and we love to continue doing that.
I wanted to start a social network for artists back in the Web 2.0 craze when Facebook was just starting. Mainly because my other partner Justin was an artist, and I was inspired by artists. I wanted to create a place for artists, and we created this website where we had a bunch of people come in and they would comment and they would inspire each other and communicate. And I wanted to break through the whole gallery system, the highbrow gallery system, and it went really well for a little bit. And but it's a small space, and I couldn't really generate enough revenue, so we kind of spun out into creating a print magazine, which I think was very much aligned with the philosophy of supporting emerging artists as well. So we did that, got picked up by Barnes & Noble, Borders, and we were in every single one of Barnes & Noble Borders, 10 different countries. We sponsored the second season of Bravo show, Work of Art. That was when like Project Runway and all that was like a big thing. And then, when Borders went under, that took out our circulation, that took out distribution. So the natural result of business happened. In that time, I forget which issue, Justin being issue 6, right? Justin being a concept artist, he, saw that this guy signed up to our website with a tag name Einhinder, and he's like, dude, you got to check this guy out. He's like the best in the industry. This is who I want to be like. This is who everyone wants to be like, and that was Cecil Kim. So we decided to feature him in our issue 6. And we had a launch party. We had literally the best party at art.
So is that how you guys initially met?
That's how we first met.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as a featured artist.
But I heard about Blue Canvas.
You heard about
I
it?
work with different artists,
Okay.
and they talked about a guy named Justin Yun, graduate from Art Center,
Right.
who actually doing magazine business.
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting, and when I picked it up, magazine is actually
High quality.
high quality, and also the content-wise is really open to anyone who wants to showcase their work.
Right.
So curating system is very open,
Right.
and I felt like that mission and the goal that magazine had was very genuine, and
Right.
it's
So
really good.
was this before or after, God of War?
Oh, that's when I was really busy shipping. That was end of after I shipped the God of War 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So after his BAFTA award, he was working on he got a BAFTA for God of War 3, and he was working on the next one, which is Ascension, is when we started to talk. And when Blue Canvas was kind of seeing we felt like we couldn't continue.
Yeah.
The print business was in transition and all that. So Justin was also freelancing at the time,
Yeah.
so Blue Canvas, he doesn't do actual art, but he was my partner. So as an artist, he wanted to continue to paint, so
Right.
he was working for, doing contract work for studios around, and we decided, hey, let's take our love for art and let's take your talent and let's build a studio. And that's when he said, we need a strong industry veteran. Maybe we can reach out to, let's start at the top. We'll
Right.
reach out to Cecil Kim and see if he'd be interested. After Section was officially founded, we still had some printing relationships.
Yeah.
And that's when I think
Experience.
an experience, and that's when like game art books was kind of trending too.
Yeah, and you know, it's like right in the center. This book is very rare, sold out edition of a journey book.
Yep.
It's actually the first art book we did, and because of my relationship with my, you know, Sony Santa Monica and the producers that I knew, they're good friend of mine, Eric Koch, and you know, so they actually knew that we're making very like magazines for books for the artists in terms of quality and actual like feel of the books. So we worked with Matt Nava and we made this book, and that led to working on God of War Ascension book, and that book is actually has a really good museum quality and it's
Right.
a really nice book. And after that we worked with Gearbox on their reboot of Homeworld franchise, and then that was the celebration for the whole like reboot, and then we made this book. And there's a couple other books that we did, and yeah, it's been really fun because it's different way to engage the game industry, and the cool thing is we get to see all their great artwork before games even comes out. So, and then we go through back and forth of review process, and some of them became very collectors items now, and yeah, we love to get back to it at some point. Yeah, but it is a lot of work.
We're going through a transition where we're trying to now find a more economic and efficient way of creating a probably like a global connection. Philippines, we're setting up a studio in the Philippines where we're trying to take a lot of our art resources out there and build an art-based studio there. Korea is also more of a strategic development house. So here, you know, we kind of fluctuate in size, and throughout our lifetime, we've gone as you know, as crowded as over 70 people down to now just shy of about 30. And part of that, I think, has a lot to do with we were just in a really big game project, and now that's kind of coming to servicing live, and we're looking into growing our art services. So that's allowing us to transition and create this LA studio as more of a management, more of a directorial office, and then we can go out and have more of a bigger art studio out in the Philippines, and also a strategic dev studio out in Korea.
So Jimmy, do you have to like be pretty flexible with respect to like staffing and headcount, and so like it sounds like you're mentioning like you know, you have to manage like the number of people here, and then it sounds like you're expanding in the Philippines and Korea. Like how big do you think those operations will likely get?
I think we would like to stay no bigger than where we're at here, and everybody's kind of transitioning and growing in their roles to more of a leader and directorial manager positions. And I think the plan right now in the Philippines, we're hoping to get to about 30 to 50 artists by the end of the year. And that would also kind of depend on the new offering that we're offering to the industry, where you know, when as a service-based company, cost is kind of a big issue, especially when we're in LA, and LA is not a cheap place. So a lot of times, I think the visual development stuff that we do is worth a lot, because that kind of sets the tone for this multi-million, possibly multi-billion-dollar franchise, and that's really important. People don't skip on those, but when it comes to actual like art development, and you get into the pipeline, and you're doing like props and you know some of the smaller stuff in game that still needs to be created, it's not very economical to contract that. with us. So in many ways, it's a missed opportunity because we realize them, we art direct them, and we create them here, and then that gets outsourced.
Right.
So for us, we don't want to consider Philippines an outsourced studio. We would consider that an extension of our studio, so that we can have, we can provide economic offering to our partners, but at the same time they maintain the quality and the communication efficiency that just through this strategic space. So.
Yes, it sounds like some of your customers are cost conscious and you're trying to address that market, but certainly you've got super high quality with guys like Cecil who've done, massively high quality, like the best in class sorts of art. Like, do your customers understand that difference in terms of like getting the best versus just like, lower cost art?
So, that's something that I've had to understand is, like, for instance, I think there is a stylistic difference that is very easily associated to cost. For instance, AAA studios have more artists that work on very hyper real and very tedious and detailed work, and then there's mobile games that are not as detailed.
Right.
But what I've come to realize, quality is not necessarily defined by the level of detail. It's also just, like I said, like when we're designing or creating an IP, sometimes something like a Clash Royale, like those IPs they're not like God of War, but you can't say that's not good quality, right? And I think a lot of times people misunderstand what quality is, and they would say, well, we don't need God of War, so we want to get something cheap, and they're not really able to get the right image or the right IP that they're imagining. So I think for us, the opportunity there is I would say you can still, something like a Clash Royale still does require the creativity and the execution of like a God of War artist,
Yeah, so I mean, we try to help every client to get their best result.
Yeah.
And usually the cost increases when there's a lot of iterations and changes, right? So what we can help with the smaller, low budget clients, usually we spend more time defining the direction.
Yeah.
And usually that really helps them to stay on their budget, right? So they knew everyone coming to us because of that reason.
Yeah.
Because they know in the span of the development, they know like there is a lot more focus on the beginning.
Right.
That's where me and some of the lead guys definitely getting more involved and make sure like its style is defined and all the like foreseen like issues that we're gonna run into, and something like sometimes client doesn't know if they want to use 2D or 3D.
Right.
And we don't just sit down and decide, okay, 2D will be better for you because it's cheaper. I usually look for the creative objectives,
Right.
and what kind of gameplay experience you want to tell. And some of the pipeline requires more animations, and 2D has very limitations on that. And we also know that some of the discipline is hard to find in the LA area compared to 3D.
Right.
So all those things we can work together in the beginning. Yeah.
That's great. And Jimmy, I thought it's an interesting point you made that, when it comes to quality, it's not so much about the detail, but it could be just as difficult to come up with something simple and iconic, and there could be quality in something like that.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Hey there, you're Ian?
Yes, pleasure to meet you.
Great to meet you. Could you tell us a little bit about like the work you're doing and like the project you're on?
So House of Pachinjo, I'm currently working on the VFX animation for it, which means that I get to work on UI movements. I get to work on stuff like these little birds flying by inside the city, different these god rays, cars moving around, this water fountain. Just in general, I get to kind of make the game come to life, which is really fun.
So my name is Eric Bonet, I'm the associate producer here at Section. So a lot, kind of what I manage is kind of the day-to-day as far as making sure all the concepts that are going through and the feedback process is working smoothly. The clients get what they want, and making sure all the quality is there.
So we're actually in the middle of a very important transition for the company, doing more focusing on our service side. So we're thinking like, how do we inspire the studio and employees and to changing the vibe? So we pretty much like want to become more like art studio instead of game dev vibe. So one of the things we decided to do was a mural, and it personally was a good transition for me too, because I haven't painted for a while, and this I took on a role in doing this. And actually the middle character there is Nathan Oda. He's a good friend of mine. He's a well-known LA artist. So his character is in the middle. So basic idea is like he's like inspired. He's doing sketches and telling everyone just go, and all these characters and flying out from him. And one of the main characters in the above there, that's our game character. He's called Weldon from Tinasha. So it sort of has this kind of, I guess, inspirational purpose.
Hey, Justin.
How you doing?
Doing
Good
well.
to see ya.
Hey, so we have another one of Section's co-founders, Justin. Justin, can you do a brief intro about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Justin. I'm one of the co-founders and little brother of Jimmy, our CEO. And my background, I come from an art background. I went to Pasadena Art Center. But here, what I'm doing right now is as a chief operating officer, I run production here and making sure everything goes smoothly. And yeah, I mean, we work with a lot of the clients here, and just working with them has been good. I think we have a good balance of the three of us kind of working together in the production.
All right, guys, so we're here in Justin's office. Justin, it'd be great if you could just kind of talk to us about some of the past artwork.
Yeah, for sure. So we've worked on a number of projects, and some of the ones that we've worked on is with collaboration efforts, similar to the one that's on the screen right now. It's called Eclipse, and it was a collaboration with White Elk Studios, and Cecil actually came up with a lot of the designs for this IP and everything like that. It's a VR game that's out on I believe the Google platform, but yeah, this was an awesome game to be a part of. It was really cool design, and let me see here. So these are some of the examples of some of the areas that we designed in the game. This is another collaborative game that we did with Condescent Games, and this is a 3D platformer. We came up with the IP and did all the art for this game, which we're also proud of. And this was a prototype that we created on VR called Awake.
Oh yeah, I remember this was beautiful.
Yeah, and this
So
one we got voted one of the best VR games in VR LA, one of the best presentations, I guess. It's still a prototype. We haven't gone into full development yet, but we're definitely proud of this prototype that we created. And these are some examples of some concept art, character, and this is for the Rival game. This was for, I believe it was for Dead Realm. Some of the projects here. And some of these that I'm showing, these are actually a lot of the ideas that we created that never came to fruition, and something that we still have in our back pocket, I guess, if we want to ever bring it up. But we loved how these images came up, and obviously League of Legends.
I think I've heard of that game.
Yes.
Maybe.
So we've actually been working with them since the beginning of our studio. So
Right.
almost 7-8 years now, and we've helped them kind of reimagine a lot of the League of Legends world, and done a lot of work for their marketing efforts as well. And we've worked on the Infinite Warfare, Call of Duty last one, and we're currently working on the Black Ops, the latest one right now, which obviously a lot of it we can't show yet. And then the latest God of War as well. We were brought in to help them just help figure out the new world of this. I mean, I'm sure most everybody have seen the game now and played the game. It's very different from previous God of War, so it was really cool, kind of coming in the beginning to help kind of flesh the design, some of the designs out. This is another one of those own IPs that we've been developing that we haven't really took it further yet. And these are some examples of Rival in its early stages, when it was Blood Tales, more of an action RPG. Yeah, and these were some illustrations, very gory, for the Walking Dead mobile game. That we just created some in-game cinematics for. And this was for Rune. We did some marketing illustrations. So, you know, we range doing a lot of concept art, pre-production, all the way to the marketing, finished illustration stage. So
Yeah.
it's very different stages of any game or product, but it's definitely fun to kind of be in the beginning part of it and then kind of seeing how the ending, actually the finished product turns out. So, and some marketing examples as well, also in TV.
Wow.
Yeah, another League of Legends stuff. So yeah, that's just a snippet of our portfolio that we have.
Justin, I see a lot of like 2D art. Could you talk to me about, just for, you know, artists and for people like me who don't have a deep understanding of art, like it seems like, you know, there are folks who are really good at 2D art, there are folks who are really good at 3D art.
Mm-hmm.
So from a art studio perspective, how have you kind of navigated the difference between hiring and selecting projects that are 2D versus 3D?
Yeah, I mean, me and Cecil, our background's in 2D.
Okay.
You know, we studied illustration, both of us at
Yeah.
Art Center, which was more traditional background.
Okay.
And just recently, it's becoming more of a, I guess, actual, what do you call it? An actual major, you know, in the schools where you're
Right.
doing digital art, you know.
Right.
So for us, we started off doing more 2D, so naturally we hired more 2D artists.
Yeah.
We actually teach at different colleges like Otis and stuff as well, so
Right.
we've actually hired a lot of our students here.
Okay.
So that was, I think, a little bit more natural for us,
Yeah.
a little bit easier to do that. And as we expanded our team and brought in some more developers and, you know, 3D artists and such, we started, you know, working with them to kind of be bringing in the 3D artists separately. So that's something, you know, we are more familiar with the 2D side, but as we're developing, we're definitely getting more familiar.
What do you see as like the overall split in terms of projects between 2D and 3D for you? Like, how does that generally shake out for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely mostly 2D still right now.
Okay.
I think we're about to kind of make a transition into
Right.
more 3D as well.
Got it,
You know,
got it.
as I believe Jimmy mentioned, you know, we are expanding our
Right.
studio, you know,
Yeah.
outside of LA as well. And to do that, we wanted to kind of tap into more of the 3D projects as well. So we do 3D here, you know, within our own projects and things like that. But in terms of the services and stuff that comes in, it is more of the blue sky, like high level concept, you know, side right now.
And from a training perspective, do you think an artist coming up could be really great at both, or do you recommend focus in terms of just focusing on 2D or just focusing on 3D?
Yeah, I mean, I think an artist can be really good at both, especially lately.
Right.
But I would still recommend focusing on one or the other.
Got
But it is interesting, you know, when we were starting out as concept artists, we didn't really understand a lot of the 3D software.
Right.
But I think the software has gotten, new software has come out, you know, a lot of the concept artists now use Modo to kind of set things up and everything, and I think which is a great way to kind of learn and, you know, speed up their process and their efficiency. So there's a lot more overlap now, but even with the 2D artists knowing 3D, they use 3D for the concept for 2D. So
Okay, so
it is kind of focused
even in
on
concept, there's stuff coming out in 3D. I generally see a lot more concept stuff in 2D, but it's
Yeah.
kind of splitting out to both now.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's a
great,
lot
great,
more overlap now. You know, people are able to use both 2D and 3D software for, you know, both purposes, whether
Got it.
it's going to finish 3D product or 2D concept, you know. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.